Hello and welcome. I'm Jon Garlick, and I'm here with the Sheriff of Calhoun County, Sheriff Matthew Wade. Hello, Sheriff.
It's always good to be on the show, John, I tell you what.
It's good to have you here, and let's take a quick look at the count from last week.
All right, 4 arrests brings our count up to 5,171 people arrested, all because somebody was willing to help us. Unfortunately, they won't stay there long.
Yeah, they won't. Sheriff, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know, the Alabama legislature last session passed a law to let people out of prison early. And it was done solely based on the federal lawsuit that the state of Alabama is facing over prison conditions. And they didn't do this for public safety. No. They didn't do it for public safety. They did it to get out from under this lawsuit. They did it for to shift the burden, actually, to put the burden of these criminals back into our communities. And when they reoffend or do offend, to put them back in the county jails, for the counties to pay for them for another year or two before they go back to the prison system. Now, I truly hope that the people they release become productive citizens in society, but I can tell you this, we've already had one. The prison system released one of these inmates. They were supposed to come to us. They just put him out back on the street. He's done arrested again, positive for meth and cocaine, back in the county jail where he'll sit for a couple of years before he goes back to the state system. Once again, make no mistake about it, this wasn't about public safety or what's best for Alabama. This is about what's best for the state legislature in the state financial coffers. So they need to do the right thing and address that federal lawsuit to fix prison conditions and do the right thing instead of shifting that burden back to our communities and back to our counties.
Shifting the dollars back to the county commission and not caring about the next victim.
That's right.
Thank you, Sheriff. We are going to be right back after the first half of the lineup with a really important guest. So stay with us here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. This half of the lineup brought to you by Abe's Ace Bail Bonds. Abe's Ace Bail Bonds, 256-831-0074. And first up in our first half, Billy Crosby. Mr. Crosby, last known to be living in Anniston, he is wanted for a probation violation on possession of marijuana first. And this is Kendall Campbell. Miss Campbell, last known to be living in New Brockton, Alabama. She's wanted for a failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance and a probation violation on possession of a controlled substance. And meet Marcus Kaler. Mr. Kaler, last known to be living in Piedmont. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a forged instrument second. We'd like you to take a look at Sheila McLaughlin. Miss McLaughlin, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for a failure to appear on possession of marijuana second. And this is Shantae Batchelor. Miss Batchelor, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for a failure to appear by theft of deception first. And that's it for the first half of our lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in the first half of the lineup. You might know where they are, and if you do, call the Sheriff's Office, call Crime Stoppers, call Sheriff Matthew Wade. You call, he hauls. We are here with the Reverend Byron Jackson from the faith-based, tell us what that is.
So it's the Faith-Based Support Specialist Program. I serve as the ambassador for that at ASAP, the Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention.
And you're the pastor at?
Greater Thankful Baptist Church.
That's outstanding.
Yes.
So how many in your flock out there, just to kind of divert from ASAP
so,
for a second?
You know, on paper, probably more, but in reality, about 250.
Wow, that's still a lot of people.
Yes.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Grace Episcopal Church on paper, we're lucky to have 250. We get about 80
Yeah.
in the congregation.
Yeah.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yep.
Well, so tell us about ASAP and then your relationship with it.
So ASAP is the Agency for Substance Abuse Prevention, founded in 1973 here in Calhoun County, and has moved to Oxford, Alabama, where we've been. Our executive director is Sayram Selassie. We are a prevention agency governed by the Alabama Department of Mental Health. And we specialize in education, prevention education. So our goal is to prevent substance misuse through education and community engagement. And so the program that I work with particularly is a program that was created out of noticing through research and also testimonials from people a gap between the mental health field and the faith-based community. So we created the Faith-Based Support Specialist Program. We recognized that there were so many people who had gone through treatment for substance use disorder who actually turned to their faith community first to get help. But in most cases, pastors like myself were found to be ill-equipped to be able to provide them with the practical help they need to get connected to the resources, let me say certified resources, that can get them the treatment that they, are in such desperate need of.
And that's a huge problem, right, Sheriff?
It's a huge problem, and a word that he said, certified, what he's saying is let's send them somewhere that's good, that's not just somebody seeking money.
Yes.
Somebody that said, I want to get rich off of somebody's substance misuse disorder. So, you got a loved one and you want to send them somewhere, you go see your pastor, they need to have those resources, because a lot of times what do we know is just what somebody's told us.
Right.
So, you send a loved one somewhere, and especially if somebody, like the Reverend says, hey, I think you should go here, that needs to be a place that's a good place, a place that's certified, that's got the best interest of the person and not just a financial interest, because a lot of these places don't have the ability to do what they say they do.
Right. There's a fine line between a facility that's licensed by the state to be a rehab facility and one that is faith-based, that's under the auspices of a church, that doesn't require a license.
And there's a lot of good faith-based services there. So I'm not saying that they're one, faith-based is one is not as good as this. We need to understand those that have the best interest of the person. There's some that's all they care about is money and using those people for labor to make money.
Yes.
So we need to make sure that when you send a loved one somewhere, that you're sending them to the best possible place where they can possibly be successful in fixing that disorder. Because I talk to people all the time. I talked to 2 different people yesterday. Their children, grown children, have substance abuse problems. Yeah. And, and what I told them, I said, look, they're your children. It's okay, you love them. And I want you to love them. And let's hope that this time this works. Mm-hmm. So people are not throwaway items. Human beings aren't throwaway items, and we need to make sure that we're doing all we can to help them. And, I don't want people to misunderstand what I said at the beginning of the show. Those people that are released, I pray that they all become productive citizens in society and that they don't have those kind of disorders. But releasing them early, not getting them the help they need, is setting them up for failure, and it's putting our communities in danger as well. So I don't want people to misunderstand what I meant by that.
And substance misuse is a gateway. So we already know from states that have legalized recreational marijuana, states like Colorado and all the others, that teenage use of marijuana has increased dramatically, and it is now proven to be a gateway drug to opioid misuse.
It's coming to Alabama too. I truly think the Alabama legislature will legalize marijuana in the next 4 years. I'm not against it. There's probably people that would be upset for me saying that, but I'm just not for it. I'm not for other substances as well. I understand those substances could even be legal substances, but it's just like you said, it opens the door, it lessens the people think if the government legalizes it, it must be okay, and that's just not the case.
Right. It can be dangerous. So, Reverend, how did you get involved with ASAP?
So, I've just tried to be as active as possible in the community. I've known a few people who've worked there, and so when they told me about the program, I was excited to become a part of it. And so serving as the ambassador, my main job is to recruit pastors to come through the program. It's a 2-day program, certification program that's actually backed and endorsed by the Alabama Department of Mental Health. We pitched the idea to them, and they have supported the program. And actually, after that, we submitted for grant funding through the Foundation for Opioid Response Efforts, and receive funding to allow pastors throughout the state of Alabama to go through this program for absolutely free.
That's great.
And so what we're doing is educating them on substance misuse, on the treatment process, and educating them on the community in order that they can more effectively minister to those with substance use disorders.
Fantastic. So lots of dramatic stuff going on. We're going to take a break and come back and talk more about that. So stay with us here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the second half of our lineup. This half brought to you by A1 Freedom Bail Bonding. A1 Freedom Bail Bonding, 256-236-7888. First up in the second half, Ragilo Prado Cacho. Mr. Prado Cacho, last known to be living in Leeds. He's wanted for a probation violation on trafficking methamphetamine. And meet Justin Buchanan. Mr. Buchanan, last known to be living in Oxford. He's wanted for a probation violation on receiving stolen property first. And this is Shanta Johnson. Miss Johnson, last known to be living in Piedmont, she's wanted on a probation violation for burglary third. And take a look at Natasha McManus. Miss McManus, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted on a probation violation for unlawful distribution of a controlled substance. And meet Roy Hamilton. Mr. Hamilton, last known to be living in Tucker, Georgia. He's wanted on a failure to appear for trafficking marijuana. And that's it for our Crime Stoppers cases in our lineup this week. If you have any information on these people, please give Crime Stoppers a call. That number, 1-833-251-7867. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in the second half of the lineup. You might know where they are. And if you do, call Sheriff Matthew Wade. You call, he hauls. We're here with the Reverend Byron Jackson, who's faith-based special... What is that? FSSB? Yeah.
FBSS, Faith-Based Support Specialist.
For ASAP.
You can't get the support specialist in. You got the faith-based in, not the support specialist.
Wow. So off camera, we were talking about how many reverends and preachers you'd got into the program,
right.
And the sheriff mentioned how some might be reluctant.
Yes.
And you were talking about the stigma, so let's dig into that a little bit.
So the program is ecumenical, so it's for all faiths. No matter what it is a person believes, or no matter what faith that a person is a part of the clergy in, they are welcome to come to this program. Our goal for the first year was 120 pastors. We were actually able to train, educate, and certify 112. And what we've really been seeking to break down are two major things, stigma and silos. Stigma is a huge one, a huge issue in the faith community because, well, for two reasons. Number one, there's a stigma amongst some groups that you can just pray it away. That you can just pray and it will go away. I'm a believer, right? But I also understand that there is a practical aspect to the answering of our prayers. But then the other side of that is the fact that, well, since we can't just magically fix it, we won't talk about it at all. And that's where you really get just as much, if not more, harm, because there are so many people within our congregations, our parishes, in these faith communities who are struggling with substance misuse. And because the church or their faith community has nothing to say about it, they believe it's not an issue at all. And so we're trying to do away with stigma, but then we're also trying to do away with silos. As we've traveled across the state, we've carried out conferences in Oxford, Huntsville, Montgomery, and Mobile so far. And in each of those cities, you find that if you're not a part of the same denomination, or if you're not a part of the same faith, or even if you're not a part of the same circle of influence, right? There may be two churches on the same block, and the pastors do not know each other, are not working together to try to serve that same community. And even though we may believe different things or may even practice the same faith a little differently, it doesn't mean that there aren't issues that we can approach in an ecumenical fashion.
So ASAP's, maybe by design or maybe by accident, becoming a catalyst to bring in the various faiths, various ministers of all the faiths.
I got a little story I'd like to tell if I got a second.
Yeah.
There's a story about there was a flood, and these people, they started praying to get you know what I'm going to talk about, right?
Yes.
They praying, God save me, God save me. The water kept rising. They moved up to the second floor, kept praying, God, save me, save me. Got to the second floor, they got on the roof. A boat came and they said, no, I'm praying God's going to save me. And they sent the guy on. They sent, several different people come by and because, no, I'm praying God's going to save me. And when water rose so high, they drowned. When they got to heaven, they said, God, I prayed for you to save me. Because, well, I sent you 2 or 3 boats.
Yes.
You didn't get in them.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean, praying is awesome. And we have to pray in our life. And it's so much needed. But God uses prayer and uses people
Yes.
to accomplish things. So while praying is very detrimental to our lives, of people of faith, God will use people and use things to accomplish those goals. So, as you said, magically, God can do anything He wants to do.
Right.
But He's going to use different people and different things. ASAP, this TV show, whatever else. So, continue to pray, but also take action.
Yes, we actually sort of, I guess you could say sort of a slogan, if you will, for the program is that prayer, prevention, and treatment do indeed work together. It takes both. And so if we're able to educate these pastors, while they've been seminary trained, most of them, and have the spiritual knowledge, we also need to be able to connect them with the community resources that after I give you the spiritual knowledge, and as I'm giving you that, I can also connect you to the resources, because if I go to the hospital to visit my members who are dealing with diabetes or any other sickness, then we can also get medical treatment for substance use disorders.
That's right.
And that, dual diagnosis of substance use disorders and mental illness run hand in hand.
And I tell people, talking about stigmas, if people have cancer, they go to the doctor. They get cancer treatment. They can't help they got cancer.
Yes.
They go get treatment. If you got a mental illness, you can't help it. But a lot of times people won't take them to the doctor. They try to hide it. Family members are embarrassed of it. You're not embarrassed if you get cancer. Why are you embarrassed if you have a mental illness? Go get the help you need.
Absolutely.
You can't help it either way.
Yeah, action is the cure. Do something.
That's right.
Do something.
And so we've got tons of resources around, but I'm glad to see that ASAP and you are all working together to make those resources available and spread the knowledge.
Yes.
So in the Calhoun County area, how many of our churches, and we have several different faiths and denominations, how many of those do you think are participating in it?
So Oxford was where we held the very first training conference last March. We had 33 that actually showed up to be trained and certified at that one. But we're coming back to the area. We'll be right up the road in Gaston on the campus of Gaston State in the Joe Ford Center on March 16th and 17th the 16th and 17th of next month. 2 days. It's a Thursday and Friday. It's absolutely free. And we want to get more. We want more from this area, from Etowah County, from all of the surrounding areas to meet us in Gaston in March to receive this certification.
I think it's very important that preachers, pastors, reverends of all over this is something that every pastor has somebody in their congregation who has somebody that needs this information.
Absolutely.
They need them to have this training.
And they've got children that they may not even know about in their
Yes.
youth groups that are on the edge.
Yes.
That's right.
And they need to be able to recognize that and get them help. So if we've got some pastors and youth leaders and spiritual leaders out there listening to the show, how do they get involved in this?
So you can register for the upcoming training conference at the website. It's fbss.asaprev.com. Once again, fbss.asaprev.com. You can go there, hit the register button, and you can register there. We take a little information from you just to be able to contact you, learn a little bit about you, and then we'll see you in March. But also, if you're not savvy with the internet, you can also call me directly at 256-525-8191. Once again, 256-525-8191. That's my cell. You can reach me there directly.
Byron Jackson, thank you for being on the show. We had the Reverend Jackson on the show.
That's right. I can tell you
Thank you
this.
so much for having me.
I feel like this is one of the better shows we've had. Good issues.
It is.
Thank
It's
you.
a lot of very important stuff, and people can come to your church. Tell them where your church is again.
I pastor the Greater Thankful Baptist Church. We are at 3025 West 14th Street in Anniston, Alabama, and we have service every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock a.m.
You got a choir?
Yes, I do.
I'll bet it's a rockin' choir.
Yes, it is.
Well, we thank you for being on the show, and we
you.
hope you guys stick with us. We've got the Crime Stoppers portion of the show and the Crazy Criminal coming up here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show, where we ask you to help us on the following cases. First up, between January 31st and February 1st, a 2021 blue Dodge Ram 1500 4x4 pickup was stolen from Webster's Chapel Road in Wellington. And on January 31st, a home in Noah Valley Road in Jacksonville was burglarized. 1 Vizio television, 1 Toshiba television, 1 pearl necklace, 3 small pearl bracelets, 1 child's pearl necklace with cross, gold ring with a purple stone and a flower detail, 2 silver bracelets with initials, emerald necklace and earrings, Pandora charm bracelet, diamond tennis bracelet, silver heart with a cross diamond necklace, and a silver diamond waterfall ring were all stolen from that location. And between January 30th and January 31st, around the 100 block of Alexandria Heights Circle, a 2018 red Peterbilt was shot with what looked to be a BB gun. The driver's side and rear window were shattered. And on December 17th, the 2000 gold Oldsmobile Alero broke down on the side of U.S. Highway 431 at Cane Creek Farm Road in Alexandria. When the victim returned to move the vehicle on December 18th, it was missing. And that's it for the Crime Stoppers cases. If you have any information on these cases, please give Crime Stoppers a call. That number, 1-833-251-7867.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
Boy, Jesus, Sheriff, this crazy criminal comes from Maine.
Yeah.
Hey, tell us about him.
This is Philip DeLude from Belfast, Maine. He's in the Waldo County Jail. You can look like he had a rough night, but the top picture is also Philip DeLude. He is not playing a ghost. He was actually at a hotel and he was drunk, causing a being disorderly. So the police threatened him with arrest and told him to leave. That if he come back, they would arrest him. Well, you can tell by the bottom picture. He came back, and when police come around, he was sitting in a chair. So he took a sheet from the hotel room and covered him up like he was just a covered-up chair, and sat there like nobody can see me. I can see his nose from here. So police quickly realized that, hey, there's a dude sitting under that blanket in a chair, and that's odd. So
LaDude
was arrested for acting like he was in Medea's Boo Halloween. I don't know.
I wonder if they just went up and sat on it.
I don't know, but he looks like he had a rough time.
He does look a little rough.
Yeah.
That's the state of Maine. Well, Sheriff, we've got some time left. Why don't you go back to what we opened up with, just briefly?
We just need to make sure the state of Alabama, we're talking about, they talked about they have more money now than ever, talking about giving refunds to people, but they're not wanting to fix the problem in our prison system where people have been murdered. People are on top of each other. The conditions are bad. I mean, to the point that the federal government's getting involved. So make sure you reach out to your legislator. This is not only for people that are on one side of the fence. This is also for people who have loved ones that are in it. So it's just not good practice. So.
Yeah, so how do people get in touch with their representatives?
Hey, Google who your representative is, your state legislature, and just know that these people are coming back. They released 400. It's going to go up to 4,000. One of the ones they released for us was a robbery first degree, which is a Class A felony, the same as murder, and they released him early from prison, which means he used a weapon to forcefully take something from somebody. So these aren't just marijuana smokers, okay?
This is kind of scary stuff.
It is scary stuff.
Well, Sheriff, if anybody has a problem, anybody's worried about anything, they can contact the Sheriff's office, right? 256-236-6600. Visit your website. If you're looking for a job, you're still looking for
We're always looking to hire people, and we have an app. You can Google our app. So.
Very good. Well, we appreciate you tuning in this week. We look forward to seeing you again next week, but hopefully not in the lineup here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.